Hi Rock Academy musicians, drummers. So this is kind of a theory video, just on some markings, things like that, things that might pop up that mean something and you might not know what it means at the moment. Things like the dots just here and these dots just here. So yeah, so basically there'll be little things like that that pop up through all of the pieces, and just to kind of go over what those things might mean. So when you see dots, they're kind of like bookends, you know. So you see dots there, and in this particular piece, there are dots here, but they in the pieces they kind of might go through a few lines, you know. I'll show you in a second. But what that basically means when you see these dots is that you know that at some point you'll be going back, you'll be repeating the bars in between the dots. So in Another One Bites the Dust, we start off and we do the bars, and then we get to these dots, and that means we go back and then we repeat. So that's what it means. But we only do that once. It's kind of like if you imagine like a magical power that they have. It means that you can it only works once, basically. So it doesn't keep meaning you've got to repeat. So in effect, this means that we do these 4 bars twice. So we do 8 bars before it goes into the verse. So yeah, it's things like that that might kind of trip you up a little bit if you're not aware. And then we have little markings like this here. That is a 1 beat rest. So that means we don't play. The music carries on and we count the beat, but we don't play it. So it's important to know in music, when you're playing a bar of music and your particular instrument perhaps doesn't play that particular bit of the bar, you will still have to count. It doesn't mean that the beats have stopped. They're carrying on because the song is carrying on. And of course, the song is the whole, and we make up, as musicians, we make up the parts that make that whole. So it's just kind of being aware of counting. So that last bar, it's 1, 1 and 2 and then a rest. And then so we don't play anything, although the beats carry on. So here we have a 1 beat rest, and we have this little thing here, which is a little tiny rectangle. Little, you see it looks like a little speck. That's a 2 beat rest, which means we rest. So in effect, we've got 1 and 2, which make 3. So we're resting for 3 beats. And this little mark here, little kind of sideways arrow, is an accent note, which means we just emphasize that particular note that the arrow's over. So it's kind of louder. Bam! Yeah. So this is Mustang Sally. This is one I've yet to put up on Rock Academy. But yeah. So it's quite cool because then we have this crescendo bar here. Oop, you can see that. So there's a P there, which means we play really quietly, and then through the bar it gets louder until we're on an F, which means that's loud. So we play loud. So yeah, we've got this crescendo bar, which it's basically a visual of what's happening with the sound. Very small, bigger, 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 big. Yeah, so that's that. So then we have here. We have these cont sim, so sort of continue in a similar vein, and it's kind of left up to you. So these lines mean that you have to kind of keep with the feel and everything. So you can't just go off and do some random kind of jazz beat or something. You have to keep within the time signature and the kind of feel of the song. But it's kind of left up to you. It's a bit of improvisation, really. So you can kind of maybe do a couple of bass drums here, or you can miss one here perhaps, or do an extra snare or something. You can kind of, you know, be a bit more creative. Within like the higher grades, there are lots of these types of bars that come up. So it wants you to kind of, it wants you your knowledge needs to kind of, you know, obviously as you get further up the grades, your knowledge expands naturally. But, you know, if you're in like a reggae song or something, doing a reggae song, then you'd need to know a bit about reggae and the feel and the types of groove that are used within that genre. So yeah, so that's kind of what it means. And these here looks like a sort of percentage sign. is an exact repetition of the previous bar. So I think I'll show you in another one bites the dust. You have many of those signs, because it saves time writing them out, and why bother writing them out when it's exactly the same. And with instruments like, you know, obviously the drums are a prime example. They're very repetitive because we are keeping the beat. We're the musicians that everyone's kind of honing in on listening to, so there's not too many varied kind of thing. I mean, there are some songs with some real variation, but mostly with rock and pop, it's kind of a straight kind of boom 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 kind of beat. So we have a lot of repetition as drummers. So yeah, so when you see these sort of signs, they mean an exact repetition of the previous bar. And when you see the kind of slanty that means to kind of repeat, but you're free to kind of, you know, put in your own thing if you want. But again, very important to remember, you have to keep in the kind of feel of the song. You can't go off and do something really random, although that can sound cool. But being as it's a grade piece, it wants to kind of see that you've got that knowledge, you know. And then the same here, the word fill. It's not told you what to play, it just wants you to play something. So yeah, so that's that kind of thing sort of covered. So when you see things like that, that's what it means. So Uptown Funk has a few little notes that pop up as well that we'll have a look at. So as you can see, the first 3 bars are completely marked out. There is music happening. It's the dum bum 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 bum. There's no drums at the beginning. It's kind of the guitar and the bass coming in there, and we're completely locked. You know, we're mapped out of that because we're not playing. So you count 3 bars when the music starts, and then we're into the 4th bar. So we have a 2-beat rest and a 1-beat rest, which makes 3 beats. So we rest for 3 beats, and then there's an F, which means nice and loud, very bold. We're going to come in, and there's 2 little accents as well, just to kind of really emphasize this, like, papa, you know, to come in. So we've got a semiquaver. So with a semiquaver, usually if you have a full semiquaver, you'll have 4 bits to it. So we've just got 2, so it's 4E, and then this little here is a quaver rest. Now if we have a semiquaver rest, you see that little dot? Well, if it's a semiquaver, there'd be 2 of them to signify a semiquaver rest, but there's just 1 dot, which means we have a quaver rest, which means the last part of that semiquaver we don't play, but we count it still. Remember to count it. So 4E and then 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then again you've got the kind of repetitive repeat previous bar. So as it goes on, all it means is you just repeat this bar here. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That can be the tricky thing with drumming, because it's so repetitive. You can sometimes lose your way and where you are in the song. And it's very important to know the song quite well, especially with the grades. So once you kind of get the hang of drumming, you've been doing it for a while, you'll start to kind of feel when things are about to change. You know, especially when you get a bit older, perhaps, or you join a band, or you have a friend and you start playing music, or you have a sibling perhaps that plays, or your parents or family member. You know, you might start to actually want to, you know, enjoy playing and jamming, and with that you'll start to understand there'll be this kind of, like, it's very difficult to explain, but you start to really feel when the dynamic needs to change, when there needs to be a feel, when something's about to happen. And when I say something, I mean like when you're about to go into a chorus, or you know, you'll start to kind of get the feeling for it. But at the moment, it's kind of important for you to listen to the song and really get to know the song, because only then you'll start to really know when, you know, that this grooving's about to change, and then you're going to go into this bar here perhaps. So yeah, so the best thing to do is to get this book, if you can. You can get it off Amazon. I think they're about £8 or something. And in it you have the drum legend, where it tells you where all of the notes are on the stave, and then you have this audio download code, and it's a one-time use thing, so it's they're all unique, and when you get the book, then you can go on to Soundwise, download the tracks, and then they're kind of yours to keep, which is wonderful. And obviously I've got all of the grade books, and they're all on there, which is wonderful. I think that kind of covers it for grade 1. There's not too many, you know. Oh, there's maybe just this to mention, this one. So when you see a 2 and you got 2 lines instead of the one line, that means to repeat those 2 bars. So it doesn't mean twice. It doesn't mean like twice. It means to go back and do the 2 previous bars. So you keep going, you know, you go round and round, and it's got it twice. So in effect, you do these 2 bars here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah. So yeah, you do them. You do that 3 times, the whole lot. So yeah, and I don't think there's anything else really that comes up within that. Just like remember when you see an F or an FF, very loud, F loud, MF moderately loud. And I will get a sheet with the proper Latin names. I often forget them. It's not not great, but I've got them on a sheet, and I will have a look. And PP, very very quiet, P quiet, that sort of thing. MP, moderately quiet. You know, you sort of get to know. As long, to be honest with you, this is sort of a controversial thought perhaps, but I think if you see the sign and you know what it means, doesn't necessarily matter if you've forgotten the actual the whole word. You know, it is if you see it and you know, I've got to play really loud now, or I've got to be really quiet. I mean, it's a good thing to know, obviously. You know, the knowledge and everything is wonderful, but I think basically that does cover it for the notation really in grade 1, and obviously it picks up a little bit in grade 2, where you get extra little things popping up as you would expect as the grades go up. So again, hope that helps, and we go over all of this stuff in lessons, so this is just a little reference point, and for parents as well, if you kind of want to know what's going on, and perhaps your child's brought some practice home and have forgotten what it means. So this is hopefully going to help with that. Anyway, thanks very much. Bye.